yeah, I can't even describe it, to be honest.
That's cool. So it seems like we had the breakthrough on how to get our clients, get our first pipeline in place.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Excellent. Excellent. I believe we are now experiencing liveness in social media. Is that accurate, Jeff? Can you confirm, or anyone else?
I can confirm.
Okay. Awesome.
Great.
It's weird it's not showing for me. Hmm. All right, we got some more people coming in here now. A lot of note takers.
Some kind of fancy AI thing on me. All the phantoms are in here. All the otters are in here. Fireflies.
Paul Myers.
Hey, hey, hey.
Is that Paul Myers from Clark Communications?
That's me,
Yeah,
man.
you fine.
How y'all doing? Unshaven, unkept.
No orange on.
I won't say unmotivated. I'll just say unshaven, unkept. Keep it clean.
Yeah.
Who's winning? Because you're not winning, you're losing.
Really? If you're not first, you're last? Is that some Ricky Bobby?
You got her. Yeah. I'm trying to keep up the Janeri on alignable, but she's making it nearly impossible, man. Like impossible.
Well, you know, she's in rank master, so she's it's going to be hard to catch her by definition.
There you go. Touche.
That part, Patrick. There you go.
Yeah. Cool. All right. I'll tell you, I think I feel like we're winning on our end. You know, we're doing our next events. We mentioned this in the Rank Masters. We should be probably pushing it out next week or so more, but we'll be doing our next event February 1st through 4th in Orlando. If you are a part of Rank Masters, then you'll have the day before. So Vadim and Vadim, Jalante, and Janeri, we're gonna have a workshop the day before. But for the rest of us, we're putting together a pretty killer lineup, as we've done in the past as well. You know, we'll be starting to push out more information about this event. If anyone went to the last event, maybe you've heard, like, I've been to a lot of events with some of the people that were at our events, and there seemed to be a recurring theme of like, hey, this is the coolest event that I've ever been to. And that's the experience we're going to try to create again. We really go out of our way to make the experience amazing and unforgettable for people. So we'll be pushing that out next week. I'm really excited for that. It'll be very similar. Get this person in here. So it'll be similar to Janeri, the last event that we had that you were at. It's going to be in one of the houses, like right next to it. Doug was there too. Doug was actually kind enough, because he believes in the program. He sponsored somebody else. He sponsored Greg Adams to come to the event, which was awesome. So Doug, I don't know if you're on the call. I was just saying we're doing our next event the 1st through the 4th. Rank Masters will be a day early. We'll have a workshop with the coaches for the entire day, the day before. So I'm excited to get that out. We've got some really cool speakers that we're working to line up. I know it's going to be obviously the coaches, Caleb, myself, Chris Moore, Jeff Howe. We also have Amy Ball is already committed. She was one of the people we really wanted to target. This one is really going to be about prospecting. So landing clients. We're going with like a themed event. So it's going to be, how do we get more clients? So prospecting and sales. That's going to be a big focus of these events. So we're bringing in people that have a lot of expertise in this. A lot of that event is going to be focused on those things. We will have operations experts there as well, and all those other pieces, and able to answer questions. But we really want to put it towards like, how can we start to land 5 clients per month, right? So really excited to get that out. Looking back on the last year, those events that we had were 2 of my favorite like events of the year. Not like favorite things that I did during the year, not like events that I attended. It was just it was awesome being around those people. All that energy, all that stuff it's hard to explain if you're not there. So let's do some wins. Who has some wins? Who's been winning in the last week? I know, Janeri, you're overwhelmed. Are we closing clients?
Yeah, I mean, I have a second call today that came from Alignable. He's a contractor. I have 7 or 10 people in the pipeline. We're scheduling our times and in conversation. I also got a major win. I can't like share the exact details, but it's a huge opportunity for 2024 for me, kind of in the education space, and I'm super excited. It's like a game changer. So,
Congrats on whatever that will be. I'd love to hear about it more offline. So super cool, Janeri, to see things really starting to click for you. I know here's the double-edged sword that I've realized with Rank Masters is like the more people start to close, they kind of like go through these like phases. And when people start to close, Janeri, you're still here. That's great. But I know like Spencer, I think he closed like 6 people last week and like 4 or 5 the week before. And then it's Spencer doesn't come to the calls anymore because he's on calls. He's closing people. He's dealing with his team. And that makes it hard sometimes to attract some of those wins in these calls, but that's fantastic. I'm glad to see it. I see a lot of things clicking for for the people that are really putting in the work. So congrats on that. Mr. Alec Newmeyer. Hey, Alec, if you, and there we go, there's a camera. Any of you guys that have cameras and willing to turn it on, most of the people on this call don't have the cameras on, would love to see you guys. Makes it feel like I'm not talking to a bunch of blocks that have black names in them. We love the interaction. There's no judgment. Like you can see, Paul Myers even showed up without an orange shirt on and he hadn't shaved. So thank you guys for tuning in. Alec Newmeyer, what's up, brother?
What's up? What's up? I was going cameras on and off because I'm eating a sandwich at the same time, and I know that's in many circles that's a no on Zoom. So yeah, I had a crazy 7 days. I'll share a business win and then I'll share a personal win. Business win, I closed another 3K MRR, which is pretty cool last week. I'm totally not niching down, but that is the goal. These are super crazy all over the place. But yeah, it's cool like getting that up and running. And then the personal news, I've got 2 kids and my wife's pregnant and we were being super chill about everything. We had our first ultrasound at 20 weeks on Friday and found out we're having twins.
Holy cow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Congrats, man. That's awesome, Alec.
Yeah, I'm gonna have 4 kids. So that happened.
Gotta get that MRR up.
I gotta get that MRR up like you wouldn't believe. So yeah, and I'm probably gonna be buying a car with 3 rows like this weekend. Insane, absolutely insane. So yeah, it's been a crazy last 5 days. Thanks, Paul. Need a school bus. If my wife would let me get a school bus, I'd already own one.
That's fantastic. When's the due date, Alec?
End of April 28, but it's twins, so kind of like whenever. Yeah.
Are twin due dates not as accurate?
Sometimes the room gets a little crowded and somebody's got to exit. So
okay. Yeah.
Make it April 25th.
I'll let her know. I'll let her know to target that date, Doug.
That's amazing, man. I'm so happy for you, dude. That's super cool. Not only with the kids, but it's also great to see, you're picking up more and more steam. Alec, will you be, I know like, hey, with the new kids coming, maybe it's not going to be the right time, but it'd be amazing if you could join us at this event in Orlando. What's your thoughts on that?
I missed the dates, so I don't know when the dates are.
February 1st through 4th. So the first,
I won't have kids then yet. Yeah, I'm
okay. Awesome, man. What did you think of the last event? Were you at the last? You were at the last one, right?
Yeah, I haven't missed one yet. Both events have been very large. I think it's like the difference between hanging out with friends on a video chat, especially friends you've known for a while, hanging out with them on video chat versus meeting in person. The first event, I was like, my agency was super small and I was trying to make heads or tails of what to do to be successful. And so it was like really orienting to be able to be in the same room as people who were making a lot of money and see the differences between me and them and try to pull some of the details. The second event was very, they're just very orienting, right? It's like, okay, cool. Second event, here's what you need to do to grow dramatically. And on that one, I got to talk to people about, you know, their fears and uncertainties with scaling. Nobody ever wants to let customers down, but like, what are they actually doing to do that? I always take a ton of notes. For me, it's like, these are like the most important events that I go to. So it's a no-brainer. And now that I'm trying to choose a niche and niching down, I've been focusing a lot on like building out processes that are built to scale, maybe more than I should be, because I should be focusing on sales more. The topic seems super relevant. And so, yeah, I'm going to make it. No problem.
Fantastic, Alec. Yeah. I think this is what a lot of people do. And I think I personally think it's kind of can kind of be a mistake is this like, we try to solve problems that don't exist yet. And here's the good news is we're not taking a space shuttle to the moon where we have to like have all these like plans and contingencies or we're going to die. That's just like not how things are going to happen. Like a lot of times, well, sequence matters a ton, right? The sequence in what we do makes all the difference in the world. And the good news is as we land more clients, if we put our focus and attention into that, the problems that we create can be funded by the revenue we created by landing more clients. And a lot of times we can find people who are better at that particular problem than we are, right? As we talked about at the last event during my speech, we have the ability to bring in high-level people and start solving who, not how problems, right? We don't need to learn how to do it. We like, let me find somebody who just geeks out on this one piece. So I would continue. This is what it's been a constant theme inside of Rank Masters is trying to push people to land clients and then, you know, go from there. So we're actually this Thursday in Rank Masters, we're launching our white label fulfillment shop center to Rank Masters only. So that's a pretty heavy discount for those people. What will follow is we'll launch that into LeadSnap community after we've got it into Rank Masters. But I think this makes it easier. The reason I wanted to push for that is I don't want people to be stuck with their feet in the mud. You know, there's been a lot of people in Rank Masters who have taken tremendous amount of action and they've had tremendous results. And others are like, I've got to build out the processes. I've got to do this. I don't have a developer. Like, what happens if I land a client? Well, if we take that out of their hands, because you can just like press a button and very profitably sell, like purchase and then resell what we've got and be able to count on it. Now you can focus on selling, which is what's going to drive your business, right? So it looks like Edwin Scott has a couple wins. Thank you for sharing, Alec. Enjoy your sandwich. Edwin Scott, how's it going, man? What do you got for wins?
Okay. So I have no SEO clients. I refuse to work for clients. I don't like that idea, pursuing clients. So when the update of Google happened, you know, I was selling leads, you know, and I have one rank and rent, but the other ones were plumbing leads. So I was generating like on a monthly basis, like 200 calls to a plumbing company here in Austin. So all my GMBs dropped the ranking, and basically I was just getting like 10, 15 calls a month. From 200, they went down to 10, 15. So what I did is I partnered with a plumber, local plumber here, and we're at 50-50. So I started answering the phone call. He started to doing the jobs, and now we're making more money than when I was selling the leads. So yesterday I verified another GMB. So every week I'm verifying one GMB more. And the way I'm fixing the review issue is because the client, the actual customer, I asked them if they would like to drop a review, you know, like we try to do a good job. And even they say, yeah, I'm going to do it. They don't do it. I don't know. Maybe they're busy. They don't like it. I don't know. So what I did is I started asking the questions on the phone. I called them after we complete the job and I asked them, okay, if you were to leave a review, would you leave a 4, 5, 3 review? And most of them say 5 star. What would you rate us? What would you say? And I also found my own method to drop reviews. So I don't feel that I'm misleading anyone or deceiving anyone because they're telling me on the phone what they would put if they were actually do the review. So I keep asking them a couple of times. I follow up with them to leave the review. But if the third time they don't leave it, I already have it written down what they were to say, and I put the review. So I feel that I'm not being dishonest because they're telling me on the phone, what they were gonna say. I don't know, but what I'm trying to say is now I no have a rank and rent or SEO client is I started my own business, my own plumbing business.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I mean,
And that was my pivot, how I pivoted the business.
There's a lot of different ways you can pivot. I love what you've done here. We've implemented a similar strategy for the review part in our agency. Obviously, one of the pieces that we have in place is the automated follow-up through LeadSnap to send those text message. That way no one gets forgotten. We've got about, I don't know, a year and a half ago or so, we removed what is called review gating, where it's like, if you click 5 stars, we would send out the first message and ask them like, what's your rating? 5 stars. Okay, we're going to send you to the review page. If you click on 1 star, then we're going to ask for feedback and you don't ever get the opportunity. So what I've learned is there's a way that we can change that and kind of keep that in place a little bit and still be in legal compliance. So we're going to be introducing that back into LeadSnap where it has that kind of like rating system, but it still gives you the opportunity and the feedback. It'll just be it'll be a slightly different flow based on the score that they have. And if they choose a lower score, we'll bring up the feedback, but we'll have an option kind of a little bit more subtly down at the bottom where they could go and leave a review. Whereas if they do 5 stars, it's like, hey, in big blinking lights, leave a review. So automating that process is going to make your life easier, Edwin. And
yeah, but I tried it, but people, I don't know why. I don't know if it's because of the niche, because it's an emergency. I don't know if that's so. They like it, we fix their problems, but I need to go to work. I'm in the middle of something. So I follow up with them. I send them text and they don't drop it. They don't leave the review. It's annoying. I don't know, because Google asks a bunch of questions. So I decided to take matters in my own hand and say, okay, tell me, what would you say? I don't tell them that I'm going to drop a review from one of my accounts, but I mean, if they're telling me what they would say, what they would write, I feel that I'm not being dishonest. I don't know what do you guys think?
I think that if it's coming from your account, I think there's a level of like, you didn't have the service, right? And if you can get them to leave it, there's strength in this. Well, Google's going to bring out Google's going to instill more trust in you if there's like a diversity of people that are saying the same story, right?
Oh, no, it's not my account. I have a bunch of accounts that I have another method to create accounts and drop the review. So it's not it's different, similar. No, I'm sorry, it's not the same. It's local. I don't know. I cannot explain it here, but it's not from my personal account.
I understand.
But it's affecting the rankings because I'm checking, so I have a couple GMBs that no backlinks, not even website, just reviews, and they go up. So
yeah, I think
I mean, they're working. I don't know.
We're going to talk a little bit more about this in a minute, but I think one of the top ranking factors for, I think it's maybe 3rd or 4th, is going to be reviews. And some of the first ones are going to be kind of a wash, right? Like proximity to the searcher and like the name and the category. Like if everyone chooses the right category, but it is a ranking factor, right? So I think, hey, do what makes the most sense for you, Edwin. My personal experience, my belief is like, if you can get a system in there to automate the review collection, that's going to be the best scenario. If you haven't gotten your like phone number set up on A2P, then they're not going to receive those text messages. The United States and Canadian government changed the law, and your text messages just will not be received, especially if you try to include a link. Another thing that's been really successful in our agency is we started using QR codes, and we talk to the business owner and we say, hey, business owner, after you go and finish this plumbing thing, say like, hey, what did you think of the work we did? And if they say something like, hey, your plumbing stinks, this is the worst plumbing I've ever seen, well, then we don't ask them for a review. But if they're like, hey, this was great, you guys were out here fast, you did a great job, great prices, cleaned up the place, hey, we appreciate that. And here's a QR code. If you could scan this code right now, we'll take $10 off of your invoice right now. It has to be done now. We're not paying for your review, but we do value your time, and we want to make sure that we compensate you for taking the time out. And this is the way that has worked the best. And then if you kind of pair this with the automated follow-up with the text messaging, I think that's something that's scalable. It may be hard for you. Like if you want to have 50 plumbers and, or maybe 100 plumbers in 50 states, so you've got 2 in each state and you're trying to keep up with each customer. That's not a system that's going to be scalable the way you're doing it now. And I think this is one that will be scalable, right? The reputation management companies there's huge ones out there, right? And the reason that they've had success is that this system, when set up properly, can be very successful. So that's amazing. Congrats on the part ownership in the company, and as well as like kind of figuring out some of the dials to twist there to help your rankings improve. I think that's fantastic. It sounds like you're going in a great direction. So let's hear it for Edwin in the chat. Any other wins we got, guys?
Hey, Patrick.
Yes.
Oh, I wrote it in the chat, but I know some of my wins didn't translate into sales. And I just wanted to just say that I did gain a client. And then I also, I'm in negotiation with a franchise to do 30 GBP locations and management. So.
Awesome. Jerry, you've got stuff firing left and right now. This is great. Fantastic. All right, guys. So I'll tell you one thing that's changed for me. And, I'm talking to my coach for my software company, right? Dan Martell, his coaching program. I'm talking to the coach, and the coach says, we're going through and we're looking at LeadSnap, and we're like, hey, where are we struggling? And like, we need to do more marketing. So I moved Jeff over from working in our agency into LeadSnap so that he's going to focus on primarily on partnerships, to create these relationships, putting more money into that. That opened up a hole in our agency, and I took that spot for now. So I'm doing the sales, and I'm also doing the account management. This is short-lived. I don't think this is the best use of my time long-term, but what is a good use of our time is when we're building out the system. So like Alec Newmeyer, I've got a desperate need in my agency to have a system for this stuff, right? So that's the perfect time to build the system. So I'm spending time. I'm doing the sales, getting connected back into the sales. So I think I've been splitting this between, a few different things, right? I did another personal win. I did a 2-week ski vacation. I was in Aspen for a week, and then I was in Breckenridge, and we were skiing at Keystone, hanging out with my buddy Monic and a couple of other friends that we have out there. Fantastic time. I definitely recommend, going and having fun, and like, you've got like one of the things the business affords us the freedom to be able to do this, and both financially and the time freedom, right? So, but I closed 3 people in the last like 5 or 6 weeks, and the heat map has always been a fantastic thing. I know a number of people on this call, Janeri, I think you've said it too. I know that I've just heard it time and time again. Probably the thing that people like the best, and this is for a community that is, hey, there's a lot of people figuring out how we're going to get to 10K. That's part of this community. This is lights out, a fantastic way for you guys to close people. There's ways that you can use this tool. I want to separate prospecting from sales. They're not the same thing. Prospecting is about creating the opportunities, like creating, having people that show interest. Once we showed interest, now we can start to move into like sales conversations, right? Once we close them, then we can move into the deliverability and retention and stuff like this, and client satisfaction. This is when we start to need a team. If you're getting started, the sales and prospecting pieces are going to be two of the first 2 pieces that you're going to need. This heat map tool can help you with both. I think it's a better sales tool than it is a prospecting tool, but I think it can be a fantastic prospecting tool as well. There's some kind of positioning that you have to do. So I want to talk a little bit about this. We've talked about this in the past, but what I've learned is that You know, most people, like in my mind, I remember these things. And then when I ask people, they're like, oh, I had no clue. I had no idea. So some of this, if you guys have been tuned in and you're regulars, hey, this could be a really good refresher. The way that I close these 3 people, and I think I've maybe had like, you know, 6 or 7 sales conversations, and we've closed 3. And I think 2 of the other 6 or 7 are going to close. I need to have built into our system, I need to have a lot more people. Like, our prospecting has to improve a lot so that we have more opportunities, and that can justify this like full-time salesperson that I'm going to be hiring here in the near future to replace Jeff and replace myself. But I wanted to have better processes in place. And I'll tell you, when I was going through and I brought the heat map up and I showed these people how their business was ranking, and I showed them how a competitor, what I learned in the last few weeks is that it is more powerful if you show them a known competitor. If they know the person and they see their rankings and their rankings are better, now they've got a face with this. Like I know that company, that's how they're ranking, that's how you're ranking. Let me show how we're ranking in this other city, and let me show the phone calls that are associated with that ranking. What do you have for your rank? What phone calls do you have from people that don't know you coming in? A lot of times they have almost nothing. You got to ask the right questions as a part of the sales process. So that's what we're going to get into. We can do a little bit of the GBP audits as well. So I would like to hear, like, we'll circle back to this in a minute. But if you guys want to have me audit a GBP and look at it, throw a link in the chat to the GBP, and I will go through and put that on. Thank you for the tip there, Jeff. I see that. All right, speaker view. Okay, so let's dive into this, and let's talk about a little bit of the prospecting process first. So if we think about the pipeline of this, it's like the first thing that you have to do if you're going to land a client is you've got to have prospecting in place. The agencies that are successful have built systems for prospecting. And notice that word is plural. It's not a system. We're talking to Janeri. Janeri's having a ton of success. She's got one system in place. Janeri, one system can make a big difference in your business, but imagine if you had 4 or 5 of these, and then you've built a team and processes around each one of these, right? Where, hey, this is the alignable sales team. This is the team that is like, Janeri, you're great on video. Like, Janeri's dealing with, maybe she's got a podcast going, right? And people are raising their hand. That's a whole separate pipeline. Maybe she's ranking because she's niched down. Maybe she starts to rank from an organic perspective and people are reaching out. When you stack these pipelines together, this is when your agency catches fire. A lot of you guys have zero pipelines that you've kind of like taken the time to build and actually structure. The pipeline could be a Facebook ad. That could paid ads could be one way, or it could be Instagram ads or something like this. It could be, we did there's a way to build a directory if you're niche down. So if you're in like landscaping, maybe you've got a nationwide directory, and this can attract clients. And there's so many different pipeline strategies, but you have to invest in one to really have prospecting dialed in. So let me just ask you guys a question to just really hammer this home. How many of you, like, what do we have to do if we're going to bring leads for our client? So we got to like build a website, content, like let's be a little bit more engaging here. Let's throw into the chat. What are some of the things that you guys have to do if you're going, like, we've landed a client? What are we going to do once we do that to help them? How are we going to attract business for them? What are some of the things that we would do? I'll give you guys a minute here. All right. So we've got content marketing. We've got on-page optimization. We have to improve the website. We had to add backlinks. Content optimization. So we got on-page and content optimization has improved the website, backlinks. Earlier, Edwin was talking about we got to get reviews. We got to set up Google Analytics tracking, all this different thing. Speed check, interlinking. We've got to get our Google My Business set up too, right? We've got to, a lot of times we're going to have to acquire a Google My Business somehow. We got to get one verified. We're doing client work. Like, we're doing, like, there's a lot of steps in here, right? Now tell me, what do you guys do for your own business to attract these clients? We're doing all this stuff to create leads because we know local marketing. And all of a sudden, when we're doing, and I know some of you guys are getting started. That's totally cool. Don't feel like you are out of place. You're in the right place. For those of us that know local marketing, these are the things that we're doing. This is very different than when we're trying to market our agency. Now, all of a sudden, we're marketing the local companies, but we're doing it across the country. You're not going to set up a Google My Business for your agency in like Phoenix and then start landing people in, Detroit. Maybe you don't want to land people in Detroit, but you get the point. Like, what are you doing? We've got to have prospecting stuff in place, right? I'm not going to go through all the different pipeline strategies for prospecting, but I just want to point out, in my opinion, there's kind of like a glaring hole in the strategy where, like, if you don't have a predictable way to land clients, you're probably not going to predictably land clients, right? Janeri has built out a system in Alignable where she's like talking to these people. And as I mentioned, there's dozens and dozens. There's like how creative you can be. That's how many different pipeline strategies are out there. So I'm going to take you through one possible like prospecting / ranking thing, or like sales process that I've seen be very effective. I know, I ran a contest, and I think we're going to be, Jeff and I were talking earlier this week about having some kind of like challenge where we set this up. And guess what? I ran this challenge. It was actually about this time of year, two years ago, right? I think. You know who was in it is Adam McChesney. You know what his MRR at that point was $0, and he landed $14,000 a month in recurring revenue during the challenge month. And now he's at, $2 or $3 million a year. He attributes a lot of that towards like, hey, this strategy is what kicked it off. So you guys, there's a strong correlation. It's almost like cause and effect. If you take action, you get results. And this has been one of the hardest things for me as a coach, where I'm giving people training and advice, and it kind of messed with me for a little bit, where like a lot of people aren't taking action, right? The people that are taking action, I see tremendous results. If you guys take action, if you want the results, maybe there's something inside you that is hey, like you're going to have to change your identity a little bit and play at a bigger level, and just realize that that's what's keeping you. Once you learn a strategy like I'm about to lay out for you, like you have the tactics. The people that are killing it, like, okay, so for instance, Doug and Spencer, and there's a number of other people that are in Rank Masters that are doing fantastic. And I also know other people who are better than them at sales. I know people that are maybe better than them at SEO, and they're not doing as well. They have less tactics, but they went and ran with it. And because of that, they've had tremendous success. It can be very counterintuitive, especially depending on our personality type, to kind of go forward with not having all the pieces of the puzzle plugged in yet. I totally get it. Here's the thing is, like, when you're closing sales, there's not a lot of problems in your agency that more money can't solve. So you can hire the right people, right? So, all right, let's get into it. Enough of this. So what have yous. All right. So screens will be shared. Somebody, look, I see my buddy Khalil. I didn't even see you on here. What's up, brother? How you doing?
Good. How are you, Patrick?
Good. Khalil was nice enough. We're from the same town. He was nice enough. His family had us over for an amazing dinner just before Thanksgiving. Awesome family, awesome food. Really cool. It's good to see you, Khalil. Can you see my screen, Khalil?
Yes, I can.
You're seeing the one with LeadSnap on it, right?
Right. Yes.
Okay. Awesome. All right. So let's jump into it. So I'm going to take you through part of what my sales process looked like on this, a couple of these last closes when I was talking to these people. And here's what you want to do. Your job is to build rapport, right? Because if you build, like, people are going to have to know you and trust you if they're going to sign up for your service. And they got to trust you a couple different ways. So they got to trust you from like, hey, this seems like a good human. And they also have to trust you from like believing in your ability, right? They have to believe that you're capable of accomplishing that. And you can do both of that with this really quick trick. Here's what you do. Give value. If you give value to people, you guys on this call, I think largely trust me. I haven't asked most of you guys for anything, right? But you come and you believe in what I say because I'm teaching you guys stuff. It's the same thing. When you give value to people, they're like, okay, this seems like a good guy, right? So you can do this with your clients when you're teaching them. So let's do this. I'm going to bring up, I saw that somebody had thrown in a Google My Business, Kyle here. Open it up. We got Toboggan Brewing Company. Hold on one second. You guys, any other ones want to go in there? Open it up in the wrong window. Copy this link. That's what happens when you have a lot of monitors. Okay. All right. So we got Toboggan Brewing Company with a ton of reviews in here, 1,066 reviews. We'll jump in. I actually want to try to find one that's not brick and mortar as much, just so that it's a little bit more relatable. But let's do this. I'll do, Edwin was talking about plumbing, and I know Khalil is in Dayton, Ohio. So I will say plumbing, Dayton, Ohio. We'll just combine those two. And what I want to do is first I need to find a way. I need to find a way into the maps. I'm actually going to do it through here. So this is google.com/maps, and I'll just say plumbing, Dayton, Ohio. We'll run the same thing, and we'll see. So these two right here, this one says sponsored. So this is actually a Google Ads paid spot. So these people don't count. They're not always going to be there. Notice we've got a book online here. I don't know if this person is using Rootzilla. That's pretty cool if they are. And then we've got Atherton Plumbing. So I'm just going to click on this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this share link. And if I take this back over into LeadSnap and I choose the map URL, I think we've updated this so you don't actually have to, like copy and paste it like we used to. Plumbing. We'll say plumbing companies. I can go plumber near me, something like this. So we'll go over here. I'm going to set this to be 1 mile, and I'm going to set this to be 13 by 13. Okay. Maybe we do have to do this. And actually what you can do so these guys, Atherton Plumbing, you see their addresses here. So I actually don't need to do any of this. I can just come over here and type in, I can go to Google here and type in Atherton Plumbing. Okay, so you can see Albany Street, Dayton, Ohio. That's these guys. Okay, so that's them, right? So I'm going to go ahead and start this heat map up. So once I have this, I'm going to get a ton of information, and this is what I can use as a tool. Maybe I can figure out who I want to prospect with this. We can see how they're ranking. Guys, business owners, for the most part, are going to have entrepreneurs have a competitive, part of their body that a lot of people don't. Like, it's just, it goes hand in hand. Like, I would love to hear it. Throw into the chat if you are an entrepreneur and you consider yourself to be competitive, right? Like, it's just, we know that these people are business owners. When they find out that they're getting their butts beat by another company, they will not be happy about it, right? And people are going to make decisions based on they need two things. One, they need logic, and another, there has to be like emotion associated with that. With this tool, you have the ability to capture both of those. We can logically justify why they need our services, and we can put them in that emotional spot where they can be a little bit triggered by the fact that they're getting killed, right? So if this were your company, how would you feel? If you're competitive and you see this is your company, and I go over here and I say, okay, let's see who's first. Okay, so if we take the best average score, which is going to be, I guess, Atherton Plumbing, maybe we don't want to, it doesn't look great, and they're leaving a ton of business on the table. But I can also come down here and I can talk to Oakwood Plumbing, who is worse, right? Or Honey Go Fix It. That's kind of a cool name. So I'm gonna go with that one because I like that name. So Honey Go Fix It. So if I were to come over here and click on Honey Go Fix It, it's going to take me out to this spot right here. So they've got 75 reviews. They're not replying to the reviews. Okay. We know that, well, there are some replies here. Maybe they are. Maybe they just haven't replied recently. So it looks like most of these other ones are not. But we can start to pick things apart with them. We can go up here and we can look and see. If I go back over here, they only have 8 photos. We know that photos can influence the ranking, right? So this is stuff that I can manage, that I can mention when I'm having that sales conversation with them. So I can show them how they're ranking. I can show them the opportunities. I can go to their website and and just look at it. So when your honey don't, our honey do. That's kind of clever. Okay, so I'm gonna look at their website and see they've got some content. In my opinion, they need more content on this site if they're going to fully capitalize on this. And also, these could also be going, like, one way that they could add content is they could, these could be going to pages that talk about these things, right? We want to do it in a way that's not spammy, but that's certainly out there. I don't see a web designer in their footer. And from what I'm seeing, maybe they don't have that person because, well, if someone was really good at it, you know, I was looking at sites in Phoenix recently, and I stumbled upon a site, and I like instantly, I'm like, it's a competitor, and I'm like, shit, these guys know what they're doing. Like, that's why they're winning. I love it when I see stuff like Honey Go Fix It, because I think there's a lot of opportunities here, just like from the 10-mile high view right now. And I went through and I started looking, and I went down to the footer, and I noticed that it was Barry Nick's company. And I'm like, this is what you don't want to run into when you're trying to beat somebody. Is you don't want to run into someone that really knows what they're doing. But when you run into somebody like this, maybe there's a lot of opportunity. So one of the next things I'm going to do is I'm going to go over into Ahrefs, and I'm going to put these guys in there. This is a part of my sales process. I'm going to bring this back in just a second. I just want to clear out my own personal stuff from here. So we'll grab Honey Go Fix It, and let's bring this guy back over here. Okay. What do you guys think of this? Does this look like a pretty strong thing here? So if you guys are new to this, backlinks are one of the things that are going to contribute the most to ranking a site. And we can see this is the domain rating, and this is the URL rating. So the URL is this exact one. This is about the whole domain. And this goes from 1 to 100. So when this is a 2, that's pretty terrible, right? We can go and we can look at the words that this is ranking for. This is ranking in the organic area. So we can see there's 36 words. That's not a lot. This is the position over here, right? So we can see that they've got a couple. They've got 3 keywords. 2 of them don't really matter. And this, like, honestly, is somebody going to like search for this? I get it. There's 250 searches per month. That's across the whole country. So these are opportunities that we can identify when we're trying to do the sales process. What does this look like if it's like, hey, this is why your guy's phone isn't ringing, because you don't have the website set up correctly, right? We can go over here and we can look, we could go through citations. I would have a lot of this stuff laid out. How are we going to do this with prospecting? So one of the ways that we can do this with prospecting is if we were to go into a Facebook group, right? And what if I found a plumber group? And, you know, I'm sure there's some massive plumbing. Maybe if I type in plumbers, and then I go over here to groups. So what I could do is I could go into one of these groups. Look, here's professional plumbers, 7,000 members. I'm not going to join. I'm not in this niche. But once I'm in here, what I don't want to do is just come in here like firing marketing bullets right away. Like you're going to get kicked out of the group and no one's going to respond. But what you can do is you can come in here and warm up the group. You can comment. You can start to interact. You can support people for a little while. So the best prospecting methods take time. Okay. There's ones out there. We can do cold email, right? We can do cold calling. Those ones don't take a lot of time. We can start that today. The ones that are going to be great are going to take a little time to warm up, right? So if it's based on your reputation, how do you guys think that's going to influence the warmth of the prospects that raise their hand? If they know who you are, they like you, they're going to come in hot, right? When you're cold calling people, you're just another marketer. And that can make it harder for the sales process. So when you invest in something like this, where you warm things up, right? Provide value, don't ask for anything. And then eventually, when I've got a little bit of a reputation, I could go and I could look. I'm not in this group. Let me see. Let me look at a group I am in. Hold on. Why did I get kicked out of this group? I never even participated in it anymore. Okay. Hold on. It's called like the Badass Concrete Group. I don't understand where.
A word, I think, but
What's that?
Badass is one word, I think, but I don't think that would matter in this case.
I'm certain I didn't get kicked out. I haven't done anything. It's It's really strange.
They might have changed the name.
You did not ask my permission for that.
It's the perfect name. Why would you change it? Yeah, here it is. Badass Concrete Polish. You'll send you the link.
Oh, I got it.
Yeah.
Okay. So this group right here, you can see that there are 12,000 members in this group, and I can start to see who the admins are. And I think I can see who the group experts are. So you can see this person has the same last name as this person. So that's probably husband and wife, right?
Patrick, you're not sharing your screen.
Really?
I can see it, Patrick.
You can see my screen?
I
But
can't.
Doug can't?
I can see it. You have to tap the button. You have to tap the screen in the right. It will change.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think that's on your end there, O'Meal.
No, I can see.
Oh, okay. Did
I'm
someone
not
else say they couldn't see it?
I'm trying to help him see.
Oh, okay. Appreciate that. I think we're good. I'm going to keep moving. So here's the point is, like, you can start to make friend requests in here, comment on their stuff, right? You can add these people as a follower, warm them up. And then what you want to do, sometimes, I think it depends on the group settings, you can find out who the top contributors are in this group right here. James Hicks, top contributor. So then what I could do is I can do what I call the Trojan horse. And I presented this when I was speaking at SEO at the Beach, the Trojan horse strategy. This is what works fantastic. Okay, so this is a prospecting method. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, I'm going to go and I'm going to look, and I'll let's find that James Hicks guy, right? Wherever he went. James Hicks Sr. Okay, so maybe this guy doesn't own a company. Maybe he does. If he does, I want to find somebody that owns a concrete company in this case. I have a lot of mutual friends that are not related to concrete. About work and education. So I'm not seeing it. If I were friends with him, maybe I'd be able to see it. What you want to do is you want to find the find the people that own a business. And then what we can do is we can make a phrase like this. We can make a post that says like, hey James, I see how active you've been in this group, and we've had a fantastic quarter, and part of what we want to do is we want to have an impact. I've seen that you guys you care and you want to help the people in this group. So I prepared a couple strategies for you that have worked for us with our concrete company here in Phoenix or wherever you are, right? And you take them through, and this is where you fire up this heat map tool, and you go through and say, look, you have their stuff. You have James's stuff here. You're not using your Phoenix company. You're using James's stuff. This is a gift. It's important that this shows up as a gift and you don't ask for anything. It's also very important that you warm up the group. Don't skip that. I made a point to say that. Don't just like go in here and just like start firing this off because you'll get kicked out of the group. Okay. So once we have this, we can start to look and we can say, hey, James, I see this is how you're ranking, and I'm going to scroll in here and it looks like you're ranking well over here in this kind of like, Midwest area here, but you're not doing so well down in Oakwood. Oakwood is a very good part of Dayton. It's an expensive area, and there's probably a lot of good customers over there. So how can we improve our ranking over in Oakwood? Well, what if we started to write some content on our website about Oakwood, right? What are we responding to all the reviews? You can look at this. You don't want to get too far in the weeds, so you want to kind of have this prepped. This gives you a playbook on how you can sell people because you know exactly where they're weak. I can assume that they have some calls coming in, but if I go and I look, I can also go through and I'll say, hey, James, it's clear because you have 75 reviews. It's clear that you're doing a great job. And unfortunately, the person that does the best job, they're not always the person that ranks the best. They may not have the system in place to get the reviews. They may not know to add more content to their website, wherever Honey Go Fix It, right? They may not know that. They may not know that they need links. So you've got to talk to people in terms that they're going to understand. And when you talk about backlinks, that has to come with a metaphor, in my opinion. So a backlink is essentially like a vote from somebody else. So the websites that exist around the internet, this is me speaking in simple terms to James, right? James, the websites that exist around the internet, Google values them differently, right? If I was asking for legal advice and I went and asked a homeless person versus I asked a everyday person walking down the street versus I asked a police officer, a lawyer, a judge, the opinion is going to be higher and higher value as I move up that chain. And that's how websites work, right? And you, to get this score on your website, you don't have a lot of good votes. And here's some, maybe even tell them like, hey, here's a couple links that we got that I think you should try to get for your website. It doesn't mean that, here's what you can, here's what you can say to go and get this link, or here's how you do it. If you teach these people that, that's where you build that trust. And that's where you build that likability. James isn't going to be like, you know what? I'm plumbing 40 hours a week, 50 hours a week. I'm also going to start doing SEO on the side for my site. That's not going to happen. But the fact that you built this trust by teaching him something that can help him and explain it to him in simple terms, now he knows you, he trusts, he believes in the fact that you have this ability, right? So that's what we're trying to get over. And this is a very easy black and white or in red and green way that we can show, hey, you're not doing so hot. And these are the things that are going to make you do better, right? And this is how Atherton Plumbing has become successful with this. So if you can lay out this pathway to him, you're like halfway home, right? Part of it is going to be building rapport. The problem that I think a lot of you guys have when you go to sell is like, one, if you come across as too formal, I think that a lot of people aren't going to respond to that. You got to be a little bit more casual. You got to talk to them like they're humans. Imagine that you sat next to somebody at the bar and you just like struck up a conversation. Like that can help disarm people, and that can really help build the rapport. Once you have that piece in place, if you can go through and you can establish yourself as the authority, establish yourself as the expert, that's a huge checkbox. And this gives you that way to do it. And it simultaneously does it while you put them in this buyer's mind, because you can elicit that emotional response and say, look, this is Atherton Plumbing. And this is like a consultative sales approach is like, James, how much you think your average job is? Like if we were targeting the right thing, we're targeting water heater replacement. How much is that worth to you guys? You know, that our profit margin on that is let's say $800. Okay, $800. So the difference between this and where you are, this could be 50 calls a month. Maybe you guys are going to close 20 of those because this is hot water heater and there's an urgency with that. They're not going to shop around for 2 weeks, right? They want to get that thing fixed right away. So if you were to close 20 jobs at $800, like what would that be worth to you? How much is this costing you? Look at Atherton up here. It might have been this way for years. Have you seen their trucks around town? Yeah, I've seen their trucks around town. They're all over the place. Yeah, it's probably because they've had funding to buy additional trucks because because of all the business they're getting from ranking well. So this is how companies turn into multi-million-dollar companies, right? Is they've got the structure in place to help with this. Are you guys liking this? Is this helping? I'd love to hear it in the chat. I know I've been like going on for a few minutes.
Couple of questions. Edwin has his hand up, and then Emmanuel also has a question.
Yeah, Edwin, what you got, man?
So my question is, how do you approach the guy? Because I understand the conversation, but how do you approach the guy? Let me see if I understand. So you participate in the group to warm up, so people can recognize who you are, and then you approach them directly, or how do you do that?
Yeah, I think there's a couple different ways you can do that. The first one is like participate in the group in the niche that you want to be in. If you're not niche down, then it's hard to appear as the expert. There's a, and Janeri, maybe and Doug, like I've certainly felt this where it's like, you know, all we do is work with this one niche. Like that positioning is fantastic when you get on that conversation, but you would participate in the group, right? So if I were to participate in this group, and then I put a video in there, I do like a screencast video that explains some of this stuff. And I set it up as a gift for the person. After I've warmed up the group, I set it up as a gift for James where, my description on the post goes, James, I just want to say thank you for all the stuff you've done to help this group out. It's been fantastic. Because you've helped out so much, I just did a little research and I saw that I looked up your company and I wanted to share with you some of the stuff that's been working for us. So here it is. And you put that into the group. You may want to try to get the group approval first and just, you can tell the admin like, hey, I'm not selling anything. I want to provide value because I think a lot of people are struggling with the same thing. What do they see when they see a video that's coming on and it's laid out and it's telling them what they have to do to improve their rankings? What do they see? They see somebody who's like, oh, I want to talk to Patrick. I want to talk to this guy. This guy knows what he's doing. I got to get on a call with this guy. This guy can help my business. And I would even put in the post like, hey, I'm not selling anything. I just wanted to give something back because I love this group and you know, like I want to help you guys out. I want to help you have some of the success that we've had. Right. So does that make sense, Edwin?
Yeah. Can I share a couple of other options that I did in the past when I was trying to get clients? Maybe
I'd love to hear them.
So I created or I partnered with some of people in this group. Do you remember when we did the accountability groups? So I asked them to go to the same Facebook group, let's say plumbing, and I asked them to post a question like, hey, I'm not ranking or I'm not getting calls. And I did the same thing you did, but coming off like I'm answering the question. So I'm not taking the initiative. And then I created some other Facebook accounts. It were mine. And I asked the same question in the group. Hey, I've been getting just a few calls. What do you suggest to do? And then I answered the call and I did the video. I did the heat map. And I just answered to myself because the other account was mine. And I just waited for people to reach out to me. And so I got a few clients that way.
Yeah,
so it doesn't look like that I'm coming, you know, taking the initiative to promote something. It's more like I'm helping someone, and the other people are seeing what I did, you know, like exactly what you did, you know, a report, a video explaining this is what you can do, ta 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 ta. And then people came to me on a private message without me asking, come. So and when they approach you, it's better because it doesn't feel like you're selling something. So that's what I did, and it was working. But different ways to do it.
Yeah, I think
that's what I wanted to share.
That strategy, we kind of call it the Russian bot strategy, and don't take that personally, Khalil. So the Russian bot strategy is like you can have these other accounts that are asking the right question and responding. It's just like when you're doing like sales for something, you have like a plant in the audience and like, okay, that's my pitch. Who wants to buy it? And you're like, I want to do it, right? Like so. Like you can disarm people by having this be like a third party thing that can work really, really well. This is your guys' ability to be successful with this is going to kind of come down to two or three things. Like one is like, are you going to take action and come up with a prospecting method? Once you have the prospecting method, this is going to make sales way, way easier if you can show them this stuff on a call with them, right? It does exactly what I said it does. If you guys look at we'll just go to leadsnap.com. Am I still sharing? I am, right? Okay. Look, all of these, there's testimonials on here, and a lot of them are talking about closing deals, right? With this, because people have had so much success doing this in one form or another. The Facebook thing, that's just one prospecting method out of 10 million that exists. One of the other things that's how creative can you be? How well can you adjust to this? Right? I've given you some of the pieces in here. Part of this is your personality. Part of this is like, how do you talk to people? You got to like put your own spin on it. What works for me may not work for you or vice versa. Right? Janeri, I see you got your hand up.
Yes. I have a few questions, or at least a two-part question at least. So when you saying warming up, one, what does that entail? Like, what does that mean? And then two, how long do you warm up after you joined, you know, a new group? Is it a month? Is it a few weeks? Does it depend on your engagement? That's the first part of my question.
Yeah. So the second question, I'll answer that one first. So I think it depends on the engagement. And especially if you start to get engagement from the admins and you start to be recognized, right? You want these people to start to know you. You can start to connect with them. The people that maybe are your targets, maybe you want to connect with the admins on other platforms as well. If they're on, follow them on Instagram, start commenting, right? So that's part of what the warming up is like create value posts. So Janeri, you were in another group. You and I, we both started in the same group together. You knew me before we met in person, right? Why was that?
Because you added value.
I added value, right? I was in there helping people. I was answering questions, right? So then when it came for me to pitch LeadSnap to that group, like you jumped in and a lot of other people did. That's what has to happen is like, don't do this halfway where you are just like running a smoke screen to be able to get a post through. Like, honestly, this is a byproduct. If you go into one of these Facebook groups and you're in there, here's what I would do. I think it's called like the 555 rule. So every day you like send 5 friend requests, you comment on 5 different things, and you like 5 different people in the group. So if you do that for a month, right, you're going to have connected with 150 people. You're going to have all these comments in there. You're probably going to start to move into this like top contributor. So the admins of groups knows who's adding the most value, right? So you're going to have like what post gets through and who gets kicked out of the group is a subjective thing, right? It's based on who is this person. And I do the same thing in the LeadSnap group. If there's people that are in there adding value and they like kind of post a borderline post, I'm like, okay, well, I know Janeri, I trust her, I like her. This post is good. I'm going to let this go through. But if it's a stranger, I'm like, who is this? Who's this guy coming in here and trying to like, this is borderline. I don't trust you. I don't know you. Remove it or kick him out of the group, right? So we kick a lot of people out of our group because they put borderline stuff in there. But the people that have been in our community that I know, and I know where their heart and mind are and why they're doing something, I'm 100% more likely to let that go through. So like this goes into the personal branding stuff too. You know, Jeff and I have had a lot of conversations. We're making a big shift. The whole reason I've changed my background here and set up a studio in my house, right? This isn't actually like a background. That's actually what the house looks like, right? Is because we're moving towards this like personal branding stuff. It is so valuable. You guys, if you guys are niche down, like Edwin, if you're solely in plumbing, I would join all these plumbing groups. I would put an hour aside every day. I told this same thing to rank masters. To my knowledge, Spencer's the one who's really run with this. And it takes a little while before things starts to kick in. But now he's landing 5 or 6 clients a week. How many of you guys like throw in the chat if that would make a difference for your business? If you were landing 5 clients a month, would that make a big difference for you guys? Like, this is the pathway forward, right? If you can provide value in these groups and do it in a way where you don't show up as a marketer, like people will be lining up for you. You won't have to worry. That's one pipeline method, right? Maybe you want to add Facebook ads into it. You start to stack a few of these, and then a 7-figure agency and multi 7-figure agency is not so far away, right?
So one last thing.
Yeah, Edwin.
So I'm not, again, as I said, I'm not trying to get SEO clients now. I'm trying to get plumbing clients, from the company. But what I was doing is I created 3 different Facebook groups with contractors, because instead of me, I was thinking, I need to try to convince the admin to let me post something or that. I better create my own group. So now I have 3 different contractor groups with 2,000 each. So if I add them up, there's 6,000, and I don't touch them. It gets to a point, I think, when you get to 200 people in the group, Facebook starts recommending your group to others. I'm not touching it, and every day people is Facebook is filling up the group, so I reach almost 2,000 per group without me doing anything. So that would be another strategy. Now I'm the admin. Nobody can tell me what to post, what to do, anything. So that could be another way to go with less
100%.
restrictions.
Yeah, that's one of the strategies that I taught is to build that group up. A big supporter of it. Edwin, what I would do if I was in charge of those groups is I would be having like a monthly webinar, and I would be set it up, be very organized, just dump value in there. There's stuff that you can do too, like lead magnets. We have a lead magnet that we created on the LeadSnap group or in the LeadSnap website where people can download this. So if it's a plumbing, I would have like, hey, here are the first 7 things you want to do to get your marketing dialed in for plumbing. Here are the first 7 things you want to get your marketing dialed in for concrete, whatever it is. Like, you just keep positioning yourself more and more as the expert, right? And these are pipeline strategies. That Facebook group is a fantastic one. I push all of our students to set that up and to build that group out. Because like you said, you set the rules. you're in the position. You don't let other marketers in there, and you drip in amazing content in there. Here's what else I would do, Edwin, is I would take these contractors that are in there, and maybe you have a monthly webinar where you teach something, and a couple other times you go and you interview these people. You choose somebody that's outstanding, that has a big business. You bring them on. You ask them questions like, hey, how did you start your plumbing company? Why did you do it? Where was the transition when you went from, you said earlier, and you went from $500,000 a year to $2 million a year. What happened? Like, unpack that. And then this is providing tremendous value for the other people in the group. And guess who's always associated with that? It's me. I'm the one that's interviewing these people. That's what I'm doing. So I'm going to start interviewing agency owners, agency influencers, because I want agencies to use LeadSnap, right? So I get to position myself as an authority. And then what comes with this is like, hey, I'm running this podcast for plumbers or whatever it is. And then I start getting like, what does that look like when I want to go and speak at a plumbing event, an association event? Now I've got a brand behind me that's associated with this, right? So all of this stuff ties together. Alec Newmeyer, thank you so much. He's got awesome, man. Great to hear. Great to hear. I see we got Jackson, man. Jackson, your hands up. What's up? You are.
Can you hear?
There we go. Yeah, you're good.
Yeah. So I have a question. Anyone can answer it. Maybe Jeff. Well, I know that. Okay, so it's related to GMBs. It's not exactly related to what we're talking about right now. So if you want me to wait and come back.
No, let's do
later,
it now, brother. What do you got?
So a couple weeks ago, Jeff posted in the group, how to recover lost GMB reviews. And I tried that strategy for one of my GMBs and it didn't work. But I understand some people continue trying, and that's how they get it to work. Like maybe Google is like, well, if it wasn't a real business, they wouldn't be so persistent. So it must be a real business. So we'll recover those lost reviews. I have some hesitancy, and I just wanted to get your opinion on it. So I tried it once, didn't work. And the reason I'm a little hesitant is number one, I'm just paranoid. I don't want Google looking at my GMBs because I'm afraid that maybe they'll be like, yo, this guy is a lead gen. Let's suspend it. It's not a real business. So that's my one. Maybe it's a false, useless paranoia. I'm not sure. But then number two is when you're applying to have those lost reviews recovered, there's a note that Google says that they might call you to like confirm some things. So in that case, for example, when Jeff did it, did he remove his contractor from like the tracking from receiving calls? And did he start receiving calls himself in case Google called? Or like, how did he deal with that? And then if he did remove the contractor and he started fielding the calls, how long did he do that for until he was like, okay, Google's not calling, let me start sending them back to the contractor type thing?
Gotcha. Yeah. Great question. Great question, Jackson.
Yeah.
Let me start it off, and then Jeff will go over to you. So, the person that is making the decision, and like Jackson, I don't work at Google. There's assumptions that I have that are going to come out of my mouth right now. I don't believe the highest people inside Google are the ones that are making the decision on whether to reinstate reviews or not. I do believe that the fortune is in the follow-up, whether it is with like, no matter what part of life you're in. That's what I've learned. And it like, whether it's with clients, they say it takes like 7 conversations before you can actually, I can't remember exactly, 7 conversations to close a client. And I think it's very similar. I've noticed this a ton with Google. We get our listing suspended. We try to message them. They don't respond. We message them again. We message them again. In that situation, we kind of got nothing to lose, right? Where your situation, like, hey, if I piss them off, are they going to potentially like dive deeper? I haven't found that to be true. I haven't found that like we've been reaching out to get reviews back, and then we ended up with a suspension. I think that this is a massive conglomerate company, and they've got somebody that's assigned to this, and they go and they look, and when you follow up, it's like you put your name in the hat enough times, and then it's going to work out. As far as like moving the phone number over, I wouldn't do that. I would just call my contractor and I'd be like, hey, contractor, we had reviews that we lost from Google. They said they're going to call. If they call, here's what I want you to say. Let's do it. Let's practice it once. ring, like, right, get that down so they understand it. I think moving it over, I think the chance of them calling is pretty slim. And if they do call, I think the contractor can easily handle that. It's too much to pull it off you and have you do it. That's not scalable. Have it internally, unless you're going to have this as a separate service where you charge for it. Okay, Jeff, what do you got on this?
Yeah, I think it depends on how many calls are coming in to begin with. If there's not very many because you've lost your ranking, then it might not be a big deal to switch it over for a couple of weeks and take those calls just to shore that up. But they never called me. So I've done this successfully multiple times, and it's just a matter of following up and saying, just playing the business owner that doesn't know anything about digital marketing. Like, hey, these reviews are missing. Like, I know this is important. Like, help me out here. And then eventually they just send me an email and say, okay, cool, we did it. You're back. And then I go, and not usually all of them are back, but 60 to 80% of them show up again. And I mean, why wouldn't I follow up? And it's like if I had 25, 30 reviews on there, and now I have 3, and I can get 15 of them or 20 of them back, then why wouldn't I do that? I'll take the risk of suspension because I'm basically almost starting over anyway. It's like, why not just take the risk? So I don't know how long you've been working with Google, but I found that you have to be a little aggressive to get them to do anything. And certainly multiple follow-ups is a part of that process, to say the least.
Yeah. We Jackson, we have like I don't want to call it like a harassment team, but we have a team that their job is just to like follow up, right? Like I put someone in that role, and it's just like keep following up, keep asking them until we get what we want. And it works so often on like the 8th or 9th time. So yeah, I firmly believe Jeff has been a part of my agency, so obviously we're going to have similar opinions, but I firmly believe it. We've just seen a tremendous amount of success with that over the past. So Jackson, does that kind of give you some clarity there?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
I haven't found that team calls, frankly. So you could try it either way and see what happens. And like I say, I haven't gotten a call about the reviews, so I wouldn't expect that they would call. They're just checking it out in the back end, or maybe they don't check out anything, and it's just the squeaky wheel gets the grease, and they push a button, and the reviews show up again. I don't know how that works.
So Patrick, you mentioned that, hey, maybe just call the contractor and be like, hey, Google might call. Let's do a practice type session in case they call. What would you go over in that session? Would you go over like, this is the name? I don't know. Is that the main thing? Is just, hey, the name must match the GMB. The company name must match the GMB. I don't know. Would that be it, or?
Yeah, I got you. So here's what you do. Jackson, are you using our phone system?
No, I just joined this group, and I'm yeah, so I need to integrate myself with that.
Yeah. Okay. So with a lot of these phone systems, the tracking number, there's an availability, especially LeadSnap, little plug, LeadSnap, amazing phone system, cheaper than others and great support. Anyways, so you can change the tracking number to be the GMB name, and then you train your contractor to answer the call, because that's like, whether it's Google calling or whether it's a customer calling, answering it in a consistent way with what they will serve both purposes well, right? And so they know that this call is coming from you right away. And if they answer the call with that, they can do that. And you could even have them like, hey, like this is like, if they ask the address, these people never call, but they used to call more often. And what we would do is, like, if they ask the address, we try to prepare them to answer answers that maybe they won't know, that they can't memorize, like the address on this, like whatever GMB. You'd be like, look, we're a service area business. I don't have that memorized. I've been with the company for 2 weeks, right? I can find that out for you. There's ways around that, but like Jeff said, I think they never really call anymore. And if they could just answer basic questions, and they answer the call with the name of the Google My Business, you're like, I think 80% of the way there, right? So they may ask, like, I think they used to ask, like, what are your hours on Saturday? And it's just like who has that memorized? Come on, there's like 40 things on that GMB, right? So if you answer with the name and you're a human, like, and you're doing plumbing, it's just like you're most of the way there. And the whisper part of the tracking message can handle that for them.
Okay.
Jackson, is this, I haven't seen you, you're new to the group, you said, right? Is this your first call?
I mean, I joined like a couple months ago. It's not my first call, but like I joined maybe when I joined a call when I first entered the group, and then I've just been inconsistent, and I think it's time for me to just be more consistent.
Yeah, man, we'd love to have you. Where are you based out of, Jackson?
Right now I'm in the Northeast area. I'm kind of in between houses right now. I'm just moving around, but yeah, I'm in like the Philly area right now.
Philly area. Okay. I love it. We've got, I'm going to wrap up this call in a minute, but let's end it this way. Unless I see another question pop off here. Also on the call, Brent Bowser is like another very like experienced GMB person. And he's basically saying like, hey, he agrees with Jeff. The same, I think if he agrees with Jeff, he agrees with me too. It's kind of the same story, but I'd love to see where you guys are from. Where are you guys tuning in from? One of the things that has made my life easier and helped me, kind of rise up through the levels, tremendous learning, is the relationships I've made along the way, especially with the people that like I can actually connect with and break bread. So we got Kalamazoo, Michigan. We got Northeast Ohio. O'Meal, I'm actually from Ohio too. I'm in South Florida now. We got Doug, my buddy Doug over there, is in Puerto Rico. Charlotte, I think that's North Carolina, right? Cool. It's awesome to see you. I know Jeff is in Austin, Texas. It sounds like Edwin's in Austin, Texas too. We got a lot of people. Oh, we spoke about that before. Awesome. Yes. Thank you for including the North Carolina. For some reason, I always have a hard time with that city. We got a lot of people that are on this call that have not responded. Guys, these calls, we don't charge for these calls, but what we do want is we want your participation, right? We want you guys, like, when possible, if you're not eating a sandwich or whatever, cameras on, engage, and then share. Like if you guys know other people, right? Some of the content that's in here, other people in other groups are charging a ton for. And Jeff and I had this conversation where we go back and forth is like, should we be like charging people for Facebook group for these calls? Because I think people devalue it when we do it for free. Part of it, there's a few different reasons. Like one, like I want to help people. That's a part of who I am. Like I want the world to be a better place. I love the connections. It's obviously great to, have a little bit of a following and these people can turn into LeadSnap people as well. That's fantastic. Or potentially come to our events, join Rank Masters, some of the offers that we're pushing out there. But ultimately we want to have an impact. What we ask is that you guys participate and share, right? So if you guys know other people out there, let them know about our group, right? We've got a certain vibe. We don't have there will be no one will be allowed in this group if they're going to be negative, right? Or if they're coming in here trying to sell their own stuff, just like Edwin. Hey, this is our group. We're going to set the rules on what's allowed in here. So all right, guys, we only have today is the 13th, so you got like 18 days left in this year. You got 18 opportunities to make a difference in your business and position yourself better than you will be if you didn't take these actions on January 1st, 2024. So 7 of those days are going to happen between now and next Wednesday. So I'd love for you guys to go out and create some wins, maybe use some of the strategies that you learned today here. So Doug, appreciate it. Rank Masters has been great. Rank Masters is amazing for those who aren't in yet. Yeah, you guys, that's our coaching program. As I mentioned at the beginning of this call, we're having our event. Our next event is in Orlando. It's going to be February 1st through 4th. If you're in Rank Masters, you're going to have that extra day on the opener where it's just going to be a workshop with us, with the coaches trying to help you guys move things forward. So, but all I ask you guys over the next 7 days, if you guys enjoyed this, somebody that this would be valuable for, tag them in this video, let them know about it. Let's spread the word. Let's help businesses grow. Let's operate from a mindset of abundance, and let's spread this out to other people that can benefit from this. And you guys, 7 days, let's create some wins. I would love to hear some of you guys that I haven't heard have a win next week. I love hearing Janeri and all the other people that are taking action and frequently having wins. but I'd love it to hear some new faces sharing some wins on next Wednesday. So you guys have an amazing week. Be safe, and we'll talk to you guys soon. Thank you guys for participating. Take care.
Take it easy, everybody. Have a good week.